Okay, check it out, man. Mr. Dave here. We are in the office and we're going back to jobs I've done before. This is completed or finished fake rock or faux rock projects that we're looking at. We're taking a review. We're going to walk you through that process with my little mousy mouse pointer here. And so we will go ahead and check back. And I got to check back into the past here and take a look at what we got. I got to shrink me down, put me to the side, and set you right over there. So I will see if I can make this whole thing work. Learning how to do this brand new kind of process for me, but it's kind of cool because I can kind of walk you through the slideshow, and we can look at videos too, and then we can break them down and stop them as we go. So let's look at this here right now and take a look at this. This is the prep work. I'm learning how this works, so I'm going to try to slow it down a little bit and not move around too much. But since I'm learning this, we'll move that back over here, and I will make myself about that size. All right, so we're going to be looking at this. We can see this is the process. You saw the picture before as we started this review and overview and take a walk back in time looking at this project as it began. It's an existing feature, as you can see in the back here. It had a little overhang. It was sort of an overhang waterfall grotto-ish kind of thing, and we were wanting to remodel it and really give it some more life, more drama, make it a larger space inside. And so we have the steel already in. You can see that all in there. The rebar benders are up here on top of the grotto space roof, if you will. We've added extensions to that spot right there, the front of the weir. I learned that when I started making rocks. The weir is the edge where the waterfall falls off into the pool or down into the stream, moving forward downhill. We have shaped out our rocks. We have a boulder on the right and a boulder on the left, which tends to be the very common strategy I've taken for many, many years to make these enclosed spaces and stuff and grottos that are looking like a big boulder, but when you come inside, it's just sort of a scallop portion where it's actually hollow on the inside. The inside, of course, being right now where we see the pegboard sitting there. And so we established the shapes we want in the steel, and we, again, trying to make it look natural. Look at nature to figure out how to do this stuff. I mean, nature's our guide. God's rocks are the best. So we want to look at that in terms of different parts of the rock structure, the composition of all the stones together. How do they fit together? Are they starting to look like the same shape? And again, you can find a lot of examples of all kinds of different things in nature and stuff, but we want to make sure that we're taking the time to research, look, study, and mimic nature. We're trying to match something that exists already. We're not necessarily trying to create sort of an artwork piece that we're coming up with a brand new thing that we're inventing out of our minds, out of our creativity, which is awesome and fun. And I definitely recommend sculpting and trying different things and experimenting. But when we're doing rock work, we're trying to make it look like the real deal, right? So of course, yes. So look at the natural phenomenon out there in nature. See how things flow together. How do they match? How do they crack? How do they group together? And then that's one part of the puzzle. And then you want to break into the where does the water go part. Like, how does the water flow? How does it fall downhill? Does it split? Does it stay into these big, flat, glassy walls? A lot of folks, a lot of clients like that, so I tend to put that in there. Nature doesn't give you those that often. It's usually pinch points where the water is pinched between boulders and rocks, or stratified fractured rock work and getting it into that kind of a flow pattern stuff. But we see here, we have the steel in there. We've got it coming down over here as we look, as you're looking at it from the right side, I think, where the 6-foot ladder is. The steel is just epoxy down in those bottom corners you see down there over, let's see, I guess it's reversed. No, it'd be this way. I'm looking at the picture too, just like you guys. So it's over on that side, which is opposite what I'm pointing at here in the office. So you see the steel work has been epoxied into the side of the pool. It's going into the plaster. All this is going to be covered up. And the plaster demo is going to be happening around that outer edge of that, down the downside hills, the pool side, towards the bottom of the pool. Steel's coming up. The grid is started. We still need to add another piece right over here. We have a bucket that holds the hog rings that we're using for all the burlapping processes, and we're using that approach to the interior backing to keep the shotcrete from just blowing through, or the hand applied concrete if you're doing that, which is great too. But on bigger jobs, you just want to get used to doing the shotcrete thing. It's crazy, it's stressful, it's maddening, it just winds you up and grinds you into the dirt. It's very stressful and hard on the bod on shotcrete day, and so you want to be pretty careful that you drink a lot of water in the hot days especially. So we have our steel uprights, we have our lateral cross beams or cross wires or cross rebars, if you will. And we burlap that above the water line because that can be hollow. Below water, this is all going to get pegboard on the outside. Pegboard's on the inside here, and so that's going to be sprayed kind of directly at it, this direction. And that will be blown on. Chicken wire was going to need to go on the outside of this. Here you see on the bottom a satellite rock, and there's our chicken wire getting ready to roll in there and be tied on, attached with the hog rings we see here. We use hog rings both for the burlap and the chicken wire. There's little places right here where the burlap gets closer to the steel, and I have done this for decades. It is a place where moisture can do its thing and you can have a little bit of issues, but if it's sprayed on well with the force of the shotcrete, that stretches way out right around here, and that allows for pretty darn good coverage. You're getting down to spaces of about like this that are close to the steel. There are chairs, plastic chairs or what have you, that other contractors use. You could do that with burlap, although it's pretty stretchy, but still tie wires would then need to be used, and that's what we're using here on the back, where and we'll show you a close-up of that and a video coming up, because I've paired off all the different videos and still shots to try and really walk through this process slowly and take a review. You can see over here on the left side of your screen as you're looking at it, pieces of wire. Those are just simply looped over the rebar and they go down through the chicken wire, and I try to split them apart at least an inch or two. So I tend to not put the tie wire right next to another hole in this pegboard. You can see where my little hand is right there. The pegboard is into like 1 inch holes. The distance between them is about 1 inch, and so that's better to go skip one and get a wider pull on it. That seems to not tear through because there's extreme forces that are being put on this pegboard stuff right here. I'm telling you, it's pretty brutal. A lot of this stuff I like to pre-pour ahead of time so we have strength concrete poured that we can stand on if it's a big feature. This one we see is already existing. This whole thing is going to get shotcreted, and this upper portion will have burlap inside. We're getting ready to do the piping and plumbing for it, creating a brand new starting pond up in this area of the project. And you can kind of see the way the rebar is shaped around. There's a high point here and it drifts down over here much lower. Okay, so I'm walking you through this, trying to walk and talk and keep you focused and on the project and the process here a little bit, and I'm kind of making it up as I go. We see here as a farther back shot, we're inside the patio area. This is a backyard residential project in San Diego County here. Very cool. The plaster guys started the demo here below there. It looks like they're keeping the blue tile that's here, as you can see on the right of the picture. These are some tools, wet dry vac. There's the bucket of hog rings down the bottom there. Rebar caps are good to have. A spool, 1,000 unit spool of tie wires, which is an approach other folks don't like to use. They like to use the spool. My friend Richard Wingate does that as well. Here we have the back portion of it. Now we'll zoom in and we can kind of see the good thing about this design. If you look at it, there's a big rock here the original builders did, smaller stones here, smaller still in the bottom corner there. Angles are good, and you can sort of see the process of how this original build was made. Nice to see smaller boulders, smaller stones or boulders, bigger ones that are in there. Building a thing right here for a step so you can get up into it. Boom, boom, up to this, and then you can climb in. I like being able to climb into projects myself. The little boy in me always has fun doing that. We always like to climb into the little boy, little girl, whatever. Kids, we love to climb around stuff, but water draws us in and pulls us in, and it's so cool. Making these things is just the coolest thing ever. You can take space, and fill it in with magical, amazing creations. It's the coolest thing ever. So we see the rebar here has been epoxied into this existing structure. Sometimes when you drill a hole, it goes through, and so what I do sometimes is I add the steel in there with a bend in it, it has a bend, and that sort of locks it in so it won't just slide right out of the hole. I then paint on epoxy paint, and sometimes put epoxy itself around the bottom of the piece of rebar. Forgive me for moving the screen around too much. That's kind of a just learn how to do this kind of a thing that kind of jars you a little, so sorry about that. Learning how to do these video things, so we went ahead and we're in the process of making this whole thing happen. On the other side of the pool, this is across the other side. You see again the burlap on the top here above water, this whole bottom portion. We'll probably get another piece of steel across there, and then the pegboard, which we see here, will be on the outside, or will be on the outside, and then a hole right here will be left open, maybe on 2 spots, so the shotcrete pump can just blow that in to that area right there, okay? So that's pretty darn cool. Rebar caps are good. Some of my videos don't have them because I was a knucklehead and didn't get them on there that day prior to shooting the video, but I like to now keep rebar caps on everything. That's very, very important for safety, and you want to definitely keep a safe job site. For sure, be there, be square. So let's click one more over and see what we have on this next slide. This is an afternoon shot, and we see here the pegboard, and you can see the chunks were big square chunks. A lot of times these rock projects have planes in the rock. You know, there's a plane in it, and where those planes are, this would have one piece of pegboard and this might have the other. And you can see that right here on this side that we have that kind of effect. Let's see if I can make my little fuzzy head a little smaller. So these little dividers, spacers, are called dobies. You can buy them at the store. I get my stuff at Home Depot, but Lowe's, any one of the big box stores should have these, quote, dobies too, and they're 2 inches and 3 inches as a general practice. You can also use rubble from your demo, pieces of concrete. You want to be careful you don't, use too thin of a piece of that concrete rubble. You want to try and keep that distance. The more distance you have, and engineers have specific specifications that require that there's a gap between rebar and another surface of the pool or what have you. There has to be good coverage of that rebar. Getting that rebar encased in concrete is really critical. So you want to pay attention to that. We see here this stone here, this rock right here, is coming along and will be sort of in this little pocket beside the boulder that is creating the wall side of this grotto space. All this inside here is gonna be inside. So these are hollow portions, and we're building it out from the existing feature you see on the left side over there. So all right, does that kind of make sense? So let's move it around a little bit, see what it looks like up here higher. Increasing the size of this stone here. A marking paint is obviously used to mark where we want things to happen. And you can see as you move up here and we move out, that's a pretty good size buildup. We're kind of doubling the size of this project from here up another 3 feet maybe, let's say. Okay, so that's the afternoon shot. Pegboard again, tie wires that are used to attach it. Let's see if I can zoom in and see those any better. They're just twisted, you know, you just twist them a little bit, and sometimes we'll use a spinner. We'll make a loop, hook it in there, and then spin it and pull, and that tightens up the tension and gets us a good strong fit for the pegboard. You have to watch that you don't overspin it, because then those tie wires can snap when they're put under the pressure. So you learn how to do it, because you'll spin it till it snaps and you go, okay, well, that's too many spins, obviously. So that's something to keep in mind. There's our spool and our bender bars up there. So let's move on to the next slide. What do we got? All right, we're looking at a video here, and I think I can stop it if I click something. Well, I thought I could, but anyway, you can see us walking through the process here. Oh, there's the mark. There's that thing I can use. Okay, so that is, we're stopping the video here, and we're just looking at it as we walk through. The video shows movement, and your brain can see the three-dimensionality of it a little bit better. But again, this is just taking a look at this phase in this job, in this build. So we move through, and we see how that's working. And that gentleman there was an awesome worker guy. He worked with me for years and was just absolutely spectacularly talented, did an amazing job. He was a plasterer. He put up drywall and not the drywall, but the plaster that goes on stucco, basically, is what we're talking about. Marine bases, big builds, commercial projects. Worker named Dave, just great. Hard worker, and he instantly picked up this business because he's already used to mud and using mortar materials, if you will. And so if you've had background in that, you're leaps and bounds ahead of someone who has no experience in that particular kind of thing. So it's really a great place to learn what you're doing here. So that is, again, this process. You see these different stones, different sizes here. Look at the dimensions of this to this, and then this side's a little bigger. There's a bump in the back, pegboard underneath. I would probably be pouring this ahead of time if it at all seemed weak, but it looks pretty strong. So we'll click over and we'll have another, we'll get a close-up. Okay, so here's the tie wires, and this is the video. So that tie wire goes through, and we try to fit it all the way over to here, and then it comes across. How much of that stuff you use is up to you, but you can see we're sort of tying things together. This tie wire is all going to be buried in the concrete, but we've got a coverage of up here 3 inches, 4 inches more if I want the shape to be, you know, bulked out there to make it look better. And then right here you see a nice big gap. So we have 3 inches right here, it looks like, and sometimes more, given that pegboard is a solid flat piece, so to speak. It does bend and give, so you can kind of shape things up a little and make that and try and get it to keep the gaps as small as possible. But sometimes it's just not worth the time to cut a million little pieces of pegboard. You can see there's a strip right here, and it got a nice curve, so that's cutting down on the amount of volume of concrete you're having to buy and purchase and use to create your space. This also closes down the space inside. The more flat or straight you go, the more flat or straight the inside space will look in terms of artistic composition, and you'll also maybe get closer to bumping your head. So I'm always using myself as a measure. If it's if I'm bumping my head, then if I'm not bumping my head, I should say, then most people won't, because I'm 6'5", although I'm shrinking. The doc told me I was 6'4" 3/4", so I lost a 1/4 inch. So I know gravity wins in the end. I guess we're all laying in a box, or dust to dust, ash to ashes, back to the earth here, as they say. So we want to have that space. You have a big piece of concrete there that gives you that distance, which is good. Colors, the different colors is the back of the pegboard, and that's the front. That's a sort of a finish to the pegboard that's like inside a garage to hold tools on it. And obviously pegboards is for pegs to go in to make a place for your hammer and your tools to be on the wall, generally in a garage or a storage facility or a shed or something like that. These hard bends, we're using the bender bars to do that, and you can see the distance between here and here is not that far, if that's an inch. So that's, you know, maybe 8 inch, 7 inches or so. Okay, so let's putt along here and see where it goes. All right, that's the end of this little one as far as the slides go, and I don't know the timer, but I've been yapping away here. So that's the finished project. All that was in preparation for this end project. So awesome. Thank you for watching this, and I'm just trying this. It's kind of a new thing, and I kind of like it because I can take whatever time I need to get the information you need to see how we're doing this, and with actual pictures and videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll try and keep doing these things. I have like 29,000 pictures and thousands of videos, and trying to organize it and pick what to talk about next is like overwhelming. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, what kind of projects you'd like to see, and so I can pull those together, and let me know what length is. Am I talking too long? And I can kind of ad-lib pretty good and be rambling here, but this does go to an editing program after I click end of the video shooting here portion of the split screen where I have my little fuzzy head in the box there, and so I can trim it back down a little bit. But let me know what you think of this format and how long of a video seems comfortable. And I just want to make sure you guys are getting the kind of value out of these things as much as you can. So let me know what you think, and we can kind of keep plugging along here and making cool stuff. You can support my efforts here with the channel by signing up as a Rockin' On member on my site there, Dave Henderson store there, online store. at podia.com, davehenderson.podia.com. Yeah, it supports my efforts here and helps me keep going, putting the videos together. I'm trying to keep doing stuff before I run out of gas here and be a blessing to everybody with stuff I've learned over decades and decades of making stuff with my hands. Those sand sculptures that some of you have seen on my channel if you poked around, and more recently in the last 15, 20 years doing mostly just fake rock stuff, artificial rock stuff. So cool little grotto rebuild here that we did, and so let me know what you think about what I'm doing, and I would love your support with the Rockin' On membership. Buy any of the content you can, it would be awesome. Liking, sharing, all that wonderful stuff they tell you to say with this technology and online stuff. So God bless you guys. Thank you. Hope you have a good day. Learn, grow, become. Do something every day that's creative and a little bit out of your comfort zone, and you will be better at life. All right. So we'll talk to you next time on the next one. Mr. Dave checking out. Be there, be square.